Eddie, and are you confident that the Zone platform, ESPN, and Fox will be in boxing for the long run, or is it just a me try it out type thing? How do you feel? Yeah.
Well, we know we've got 8 years, so we know that they're committed with us. Will they keep investing to the levels of boxing over that period, or will they just keep it stagnant? It all depends how it responds, how it drives numbers. You know, they may go into. I mean, if you're looking at ESPN right now, you have to say, is boxing driving subscriptions for ESPN Plus? I don't think so. You know, I think UFC is. I mean, we've seen that. Like, they've publicly, UFC have done a good job to come out and say, we gained this many subscribers on Saturday. You don't see Top Rank coming out and saying, we gained this many subscribers. But you need the big events to drive subscribers. And if you look at, and again, not criticising my friend Bob Arum, but he hasn't put on a big fight for a long time. Like, I'm talking about a big fight. I'm not talking about Crawford Khan, I'm talking about a big fight. So, and same with the Zone. We need fights like Canelo, Danny Jacobs. We can't say pay-per-view is dead and you don't want to pay your $90 if we're not putting on fights that you would normally pay $90 for, if that makes sense, you know? So Canelo Fielding was great, but that's only a fight that would do a couple of 100,000 buyers on HBO. Now with Jacobs Canelo, that's a fight that could do 800,000 buyers on HBO. Well, that's on the Zone. That's why we've got to make fights like Joshua against Wilder. You know, we've got to make fights like Jacobs against Golovkin or Canelo against Golovkin. You know, Andrade against Golovkin. You know, Usyk against Joshua. You've got to make those big pay-per-view style fights to be able to continue that message of saying, we're providing you with the pay-per-view fights without charging you the extra money.
You had mentioned it before that you felt Bob Arum was getting a little desperate. Do you feel his recent comments regarding Al Heyman and the way he negotiates, do you feel that?
I think Bob's going through a weird patch at the moment. Like, he does this though. I think he gets a little bit erratic at times. I think like he's an ultra smart man. He's always run a really solid business, but I think he's just lost his shit a little bit at the moment, and he's just doing some crazy things, and he's got to be careful because he'll make mistakes. Like, I think he's spending an awful lot of money at the moment for very little like, you know, I mean, he said to us, what does Eddie Hearn don't know dick about, but he's right compared to him. I've been promoting boxing in America for 6 months. I'm just learning. He's been here for what, 60 years promoting boxing. You know, so of course he's going to know a lot more than me. But when you're putting on fights like Pulev against Dinu, it's a Bulgarian against a Romanian, on ESPN, linear, recording their lowest ever numbers since they returned to boxing, that ain't a good sign. And I don't see him putting on any big fight. I mean, next weekend, he's putting on Beterbiev against someone else on May 4th, on Cinco de Mayo, on the same night as Canelo Jacobs.
Where is that fight, by the way?
I've absolutely no idea, but he's the greatest promoter of all time.
Do you think Bob's spiteful to the boxing community, like to you, to Al Heyman? Do you think that's been detrimental to the business of boxing in a way?
I think it's good for boxing. I think it's good for boxing.
You think just promoting?
I think it's top. I mean, look, when he came out and attacked Al Heyman in the ring, I think that's good for boxing. It's bad for boxing because their relationship means those fights won't get made. But it's good for boxing because people are talking about it. I mean, that was actually one of the highlights of the night.
Well, then, come on, the night wasn't the greatest. I mean,
no, but that's what I'm saying. It was one of the highlights of the night, wasn't it? But you know, one of the problems I think with pay-per-view right now, if you look at the last 3 pay-per-view cards that we've had in America, Crawford Khan, Spence Garcia, and Pacquiao Broner, I'm not sure that the away fighter won. I mean, on the card Spence Garcia, the away fighter didn't win 1 round in the main event or the entire undercard. Right? On Saturday night, the away fighter didn't win 1 round. I think actually someone gave Amir a round, one of the judges, on the whole card as well. And Pacquiao Broner, same thing. So that's good news for DAZN, because that's the message of saying, guys, how long are you going to do this for? Like, US fight fans, wake up. How long are you going to... It's $80.
But to be fair, both the PBC pay-per-views were mildly successful. Yeah. Obviously, we don't know the numbers for Crawford Khan. Mike Woods came out earlier today, said it was about 150,000 buys.
Yeah, that's poor.
That's poor, obviously, but we know that Crawford isn't the draw that...
No, but Bob said it was going to do 1 million buys. Bob said it would do 1 million buys, and Bob said that your grandparents or your grandkids will be talking about that fight for a long, long time. That's why I love Bob, because he's got so much front. He does not give a fuck about me, you, Heyman, anyone. And you've got to admire someone who is 87 years old and still standing up there having a go, you know, and winning. Like, he's got a great business. Top Rank, I respect Top Rank. You know, they're a proper promotional company. They're probably the closest thing here to us in the UK, if that makes sense. You know, I like the guys there, Carl and Brad, they're all good people, but Bobby's mental. But you can't not like him. I mean, when I was sitting in the press conference room the other week, I was almost in awe of him, just watching him, listening. I mean, he was talking absolute gibberish, but it doesn't matter, because he has that aura, and you've got to respect him. Because when we have a chat every now and again, I say, yeah, when I did Joshua Klitschko at Wembley in front of 90,000, he says, well, when I did the Rumble in the Jungle, you know, or the Thriller in Manila, I'm thinking, oh shit. You know, but I do think he's under pressure, and I think UFC will be turning the screw at ESPN.
Why do you think that relationship can be complementary, beneficial to both UFC and Top Rank? Why is there seemingly an adversarial partnership with those two within ESPN? Both the fans, media, everyone's
I don't know.
that way.
I don't know. I didn't know that was the case. I mean, I just think that ESPN will be, UFC will know they're driving the numbers on ESPN Plus, and they'll be wanting more money, more dates, get rid of the
And
boxing, kick Arum out. Why do you want Arum? He's doing Dinu against Pulev and Beterbiev on Cinco de Mayo, and all these other fights that no one's watching. So, what do you want boxing for? Just give UFC more dates. That's what will be the message internally. Probably the same at DAZN. You know, maybe Golden Boy is saying to DAZN, fucking get rid of Matchroom, what are you talking about? You know, but this is the world we live in. Kill or be killed.
And Eddie, last thing, just based off your personal experiences without Heyman, do you feel that Bob Arum was a little bit out of line in terms of how he described that how Heyman goes about his business with other promoters or whatnot? Where do you stand on that?
Calling him a cancer, certain.
Yeah, I don't. That's not nice. I mean, I don't think. I think boxing is a business that can leave you very bitter. And if you're not bitter at 87 years of age through working in boxing for 60 years, you're not human. Because it can't, like, I wouldn't say I'm even there yet, but I've only been doing it 10 years. I've been in boxing for 30 years in my life, but in the business for 10 years. And I wouldn't say I was bitter, but I could understand getting there, you know? So like, I know there's a lot of people that are out to try and stop the progression of other promoters. I'm talking about promoters or advisors, you know, who live and breathe. What can we do today? Let's book that venue and fuck them on that. Let's sign that fighter and fuck them on that. Like, maybe I need to start adopting that, because I'd rather see people do well, to be honest with you. Maybe because I haven't been bitten by the bitterness bug yet. But I really like seeing people do well. Yeah. So it's a bit like when you asked me about, do you think Al Heyman will allow Andy Ruiz to fight Joshua? That question worries me. Like, and I know you're right to ask.
Terms, but
you're right. No, but you're right to ask it, because that worries me about the sport of boxing. Because how, as an advisor, could you stop that opportunity? You know, so my answer is no. I don't believe he would. But if he does, like, and you know, but then Bob comes out and says, well, 50-50 split, Crawford Spence, and
joint,
yeah. But then now Crawford. Spence will go, wait a minute, I just done 300,000 buys. You done 150. You know, I had 43,000 at mine, you had 11,000. You know? But the big kicker will be how many buys will Spence Porter do? Because Mikey Garcia is a big draw, you know, in terms of the Hispanic audience. So that will be a good yardstick of pay-per-view, Spence against Porter. How many buys will that do? I just think that pay-per-view, you know, the only way that pay-per-view can survive, in my opinion, and it's hard for me because in the UK I do pay-per-view, but it's $25. It's a big difference.
But do you see that eventually happen in the UK as well? That eventually
not at that
go away
price point. Not at that price point, because it's like
I
say it's nothing, but it's like, I always think, you know, when they were doing Pacquiao and Mayweather and things like that at $100, there's so much money. You know, I'd rather go. and just buy a ticket in the tiers. I mean, you can't even get in for $100 on those sort of fights, but it's like, it's not accessible, is it? You know, how can you expect to grow an audience if you're trying to charge them that sort of money for a major fight? And I think if you're not giving value on the undercard and you're not putting competitive matches on, at some point, the public's just going to go. It doesn't take a lot, you know, for half the audience to go, I'll leave that, I'll watch it on the internet later tonight. Do you know what I mean? Like, and the way that technology is advancing, piracy now is a major problem. You know? So people are illegally streaming so much, trying to find a stream, do this, you know. And you know it affects the numbers. I mean, we see it on ours and we're only $25. But I just think for that kind of money, it's not going to be long before fans just go, do you know what? Like, and events like Crawford Khan, not the event as a whole, but the way it ended, turn people off to a state they go, I spent $80 on that. Fucking guy's just got one in the nuts and then not carried on. No?
Well, luckily the buys were low, so it's only hardcore.
Yeah. But, you know, 150, if that is the case, it's terrible. And actually, Top Rank would have done their absolute conkers on that show. What I mean by that is they lost a lot of money. That's how we say it in England.
Always a pleasure talking to you, Eddie.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.